those who are watching for the first time, this is a gathering of all the neighborhood association representatives as we gather to discuss issues of our neighborhoods and presentations before the city. So with that, we'll pass it over to our liaison, Katie Riggs, for roll call.
Thank you. Dawn Wright, Berkeley Hills, excused. Walter White, Berkeley Hills.
Present.
Howard Post, Kanema.
Here.
Paul Edgar, Kanema.
Here.
Larry Hanlon, Caulfield.
Here.
Rachel Gunderson, Chamber. Kathy Hogan, Hazel Grove.
Here.
Tom O'Brien, Hazel Grove.
Here.
William Gifford, Hillendale.
Here.
Steve Anderson, Hillendale.
Here.
Michael Berman, Main Street.
Here.
Bill Daniels, McLaughlin. Alice Watts, excused. Nancy Kreschauer. Here. Tom Guile, Park Place.
Here.
Steve Van Haverbeek, Park Place.
Here.
Bruce Danielson, Rivercrest. Patty Brown, Rivercrest. Ingra Rickenbach, South End.
Here.
David Rickenbach, South End. Amy Wilhite. Here.
Oh, boy.
Did I miss anybody? Okay, and then
Okay.
you guys do.
And traditionally, we have those in the audience introduce themselves so we know who's also present. So if you wouldn't mind telling us.
And make sure they're signed in.
And make sure you're signed in on the list. Thank you, William, so that he can get the spelling correct for our minutes. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, and if you're with a group, let us know. Thanks.
I am the group. Bob Stein-Oil.
Terrific.
Dave Kimmel, Planning Design Group, here on the Steinwell.
I'm Cole County. I live at 15751 South Washington Street.
Okay. Don't need your address, just to know that you're a resident here.
I'm a resident.
Okay,
What
terrific.
neighborhood, though?
What neighborhood? Do you know your neighborhood association? On Washington Street?
CIC.
I was going to say, that sounds like CFC, yes. Some,
I'm a Park Place neighborhood.
okay. Back in the back.
Andrea Schmerbach with the National Night Out Committee.
Terrific.
Linda Van Haggerty, Park
Maureen Cole with the library.
Some stranger over there.
Howard's here.
Oh, she's already called you. I'm sorry. Okay. Pleased to announce that last time we had a meeting, we were able to be out of here at 8:20, and that's because we had no speakers. So this evening we have 3 speakers. So we're going to request that all of us here at the neighborhood, you only get to speak once tonight. No, actually, we want to limit the comments, so please either make it a question or a compliment of something if that's the case, but let's try to keep editorializing and all the additional comments down to a minimum so we can keep the meeting down to a reasonable time. Okey-doke. So with that in mind, let's call we've also limited each of the speakers tonight to 15 minutes, knowing that there's usually questions afterwards. So our first one is the PDG Planning Design Group about Stein-Oil, and they've got 15 minutes with 5 minutes of question and answers. Gentlemen, come on up.
I handed them out. I think I got, if
Yes.
anybody didn't receive one of the flyers that I handed out,
The map.
feel free and all.
Prefer that I address you guys with the big charts or address the audience?
The camera's behind us, so I think this camera can probably catch both ways. Yeah, go ahead and address us. Oh, Rachel's here.
Good evening. I'm Dave Kimmel with Planning Design
Go ahead,
Group.
sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
Sometimes
And
standing
you're doing the
takes-
timing tonight.
It is.
Terrific. Sorry, we're just trying to make sure we get done in
You
a
need my
reasonable
address and
time.
that type of
Sorry,
stuff.
time's up.
Yeah, my time's up. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Dave Kimmel with Planning Design Group. I appreciate all of you allowing us to attend on such short notice. My address is 1335 Southwest 66, Suite 201, Portland, 97225. I'm here representing Stein Oil with an application. It's a design review application with the City of Oregon City, located at 13001 Clackamas River Drive. That's right there on the intersection of 213 where the jug handle and everything is going on. The proposal is to install a car wash located in the lower left-hand corner. This is the stacking. We'll relocate the parking that was here over to here once ODOT completes the balance of Jug Hill. Right now, all this area is under a construction easement, so we can't do any of that particular part of the work, but we're trying to get the building permit approved so that we can kind of keep everything flowing together and do the construction work while business volumes are down because of construction.
Pardon me just for interrupting. Those of you, he's got it facing this way as there are extras out there,
Yeah,
so.
they
and
all have
You all
copies
have
of
a
it.
copy of this if you want to look. It's back there.
Why don't you come up here and take my space so that you can show the group?
I can turn the map around as we go. I
Okay.
can
Okay.
show the audience as
Got
well.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everybody out there knows what you're talking about.
I'm going to try to leave as much time as I can for questions rather than a long time of discussion
There you
on
go.
something. This is the proposed look of the building. We'll probably make some minor modifications to it. This is a block wainscot. It's a metal building. The roof is actually going to be white. It'll be called the Red Barn. Bob just reminded me that I did not put a weather vane on top of the cupola, so there will be a weather vane on there to match the other building. The block is intended to match the existing retail building. This is very similar in design to the Red Barn Car Wash that's located on Highway 212. There's more windows on this one because it's facing the highway and has to meet city code, as does the block since it's a metal building and the white roof. So with that said, I will entertain questions or
How long is that, by the way?
108 feet total.
Okay.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay, request to speak. I don't see any at this point.
I do.
Okay, William.
Excuse me, Dave, thanks for coming here. What is the siding made of?
It's a ribbed metal siding.
Ribbed metal. Okay. Thank you. There was one other thing.
Wow, this could be the briefest presentation we have. Any other questions? Paul? Is this?
Thank you very
I
much.
don't. Oh, it's down here. Sorry.
I would.
Skipped over you.
I think that this is there's no reason why that I could see when I took a preliminary review of it, why this isn't appropriate for this location. It's a good design. In fact, it's a pretty building. And thank you. At the end, when after the questions are asked, only thing I'd like to do is get a vote of affirmation from the CIC, let them get on with their job.
Okay, before we go to Tom, who's next, was this considered, Paul, part of land use? Is that why you?
Yes.
Okay, because it's been brought to my attention before that the process should have been that it should have gone, I think, through Katie and then gone to the land use, and that you should have called a meeting of all the land use people.
I sent an email out to the
Okay.
To you
I
guys.
just wanted,
to make sure that that I covered everybody.
okay, because I think somebody had sent me an email, I'll get to you right next, that the process should be, rather than contacting us individually, I guess, going through the city or something. I'm not sure how this all came about.
The city gave me Paul's name.
They gave you Paul,
Paul's
okay.
name to contact. I contacted Paul,
Terrific.
and then Katie and Paul
So it's a
talked, and then
roundabout.
Katie
Okay.
sent me the email.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Terrific.
we've since cleared that up with the planning department. So.
Okay.
Okay. it's been
I just
cleared up.
follow what the directions they told me. Not usual, maybe.
Sorry,
but-
I was just
but that's
clarifying
okay.
for future,
Yeah.
so we know what's to happen. I see Steve's hand up, but I know Tom's was up before Paul, so I'll let him go.
Take Steve first.
Take Steve first. Okay, Steve.
Just curious, where do you pay for the car wash? Is it there at the barn?
At the barn, and
Yeah,
I
at the
believe
entrance.
he's also going to have that, and Bob would have to answer this. So you're going to have allow them to pay at the dispenser as well?
Yeah, there'll be a new dispenser on the far island, which probably will be discounted for the car wash. You'll be able to pay either at the entrance of the car wash, or if you get gas at the dispenser.
Oh, okay. Not in the store, though?
No, right at the entrance.
Okay.
Okay. Tom.
Yes, I had an opportunity to take a look at this right before the meeting, and to me, it looks like a very good proposal. The design fits very nicely with the rest of the buildings in the area, And I would agree with Paul that I think the CIC should be offering a letter of support to the planning department.
Okay. Didn't I see yours up there, Kathy? Okay, we're to William.
What's the time frame on this?
We're at 9 minutes.
No.
No. You got 9 minutes to build that.
When do you expect to
I
begin
still have 6
construction?
minutes to answer it.
When do you expect to begin construction?
Hopefully near the 1st of August.
Okay. Great.
And depends upon the process of building and planning and getting the permits and everything put together. But as soon as possible. We'd like to have the building being constructed during the balance of the easement work for the jug handle, and then open about the same time that they finish up theirs, we can put the paving in.
I had one other question. By that parking lot on the north side, this diagram isn't showing the slope of that. Are there any slope issues there?
No, there's not, because that's where ODOT moved the retaining wall, and they're grading that all out. And we've, I believe Nancy's been involved in this, but I've talked to Alita as well as the planning department. ODOT has an approval for what they need to do up in that area after they took all the landscaping out and they're changing the slopes and doing all the things they needed to do to make the jug handle work. We're trying to figure out a way for planning and for the city to allow ODOT not to finish the landscape area, but leave that area where we have the parking in crushed rock, and then we'll just pave over it so they don't have to actually do the work and then
Landscape
rip
it
out.
and then have you undo it.
Yeah, that we just rip out 2 days later. I can't tell you that whole process. Nancy would have to be more eligible or able to answer that, because it's a somewhat convoluted process between ODOT, the city, the planning, and all the other things.
Clarifies some things for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul?
If I see or hear no more comments, I move that,
Before you do, I was just simply going to ask. So I would assume that, or presume that, just like all other car washes, this is going to be recycling the water, and there's not going to be water runoff issues
Yes.
or anything like
Yes.
that. So,
Yeah.
just like all the other
It's
car
way
washes.
too expensive if you try to do that
I
nowadays.
bet. Okay, Paul.
I move that we approve this plan that's brought before us.
Second.
Okay. Do we call a vote now, or is there any
Yes.
other questions? Okay, calling the vote now. All those in favor of sending this letter of approval to this, does it go to the planning or the city commission?
You go to planning.
Planning. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, it passes.
Thank
you very much.
Thank all of you very much for your time.
Good, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Wow, that was a great. Oh, with 9 minutes to 6 minutes to spare.
We got your rate cut down.
Oh, we're paid by the hour. We'll think of something.
I do have a few more things I
Can't now.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Maureen Cole, Library Director, for a 15-minute presentation with 5 minutes of question and answers.
Cut hers in half.
Yeah, just for that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
There's three. So, before I sit down, I just want to do a little modeling. I know you don't get
Dream big.
Teacher, dream big, read.
Nice.
They just came today, so I thought I'd model it for everybody.
You brought a Kindle for each of us?
No, but I have very exciting news.
I heard
We, did you see, we started circulating Kindles today. We have 5.
Cool.
They're loaded with 20 titles, the same titles on each one, and some of the very popular titles like 50 Shades of Grey. I'm sure you heard of that one, right?
That's not been
I
banned
know you
from our
want. I
library.
know you want to check that one out, Paul. So if you go into our catalog and you type in 50 Shades of Grey, one of your options will be this Kindle, which is you cannot place a hold on it. You only get it for 2 weeks, and you cannot renew it. But if it's available, you can go and you can read new books, bestsellers,
Stand by.
and you can test out a Kindle, in case you don't know what that's all about. So thank you for putting me on the agenda tonight. I want to get through some of this really quickly because I see that you like short meetings. I like that. And I just wanted to give you an update about the new library building and let you know what the library's been up to. And some of your faces are starting to look familiar because I've made it my mission to go around to every single neighborhood association this year, and I think I'm just going to keep on doing it because that has been really, really great.
We appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me because it's been very good. I've gone to 4, and I have like 6 more or something. Is that the right math? That's not quite right, is it? 7 more, yeah. I can add. I'm one of those librarians that can add. I just didn't come up with the right total. But anyway, so that's been really, really great. That's one of my primary goals. But anyway, on to the building. I was hoping that if I waited long enough, I would have like great news that I could announce to you. And I do have great news that I'm really working hard on this, but I don't have a site to announce. I want you to know that there is a lot of work going on in the background. It's just not work I can really talk about. So just know that that is happening, and you may remember that our last thing that we could talk about was asking the county to sell us some land up at Red Soils, and they decided that they weren't interested in that right now. Should they change their mind, I will be, right after them to find out. But we are looking for something up on the hilltop. The library board and I've spent a lot of time talking about factors that the library site should have, and we all think that away from down here and up closer to more of our population, which goes way out east, is better. So we are looking for something up there. It needs to be at least 1.5 acres. We're looking for something that has the proper zoning, which is limiting, but that's what we're looking for, within city limits, that has great access to public transportation, is near other businesses and agencies so people can do more than one visit in one trip while they're out. And generally, the nicer the topography and the flatter, the easier and the less expensive it will be to build. So we're looking for something that's not sliding down into a canyon somewhere, but is relatively flat. So, that can be limiting as well. And we're probably going to be able to afford to build about a 10,000 square foot building. And let me tell you a little bit more about the financial aspects of this building. We're putting money aside. We have about $1.5 million right now, so that if we did have a property come up, we have the money to go buy it. We will get $1 million from the county, and then for the rest of the building, which has been estimated to cost around the whole package of it around $10 million, and that that's just a round figure that I put out there. We're hoping, what we plan on doing is paying for that bond. We'll have to get a loan for that remainder, but we're planning on paying for that annual amount of money that is due on that bond out of our operating funds from the district. So that we will have to go to the electorate and ask for their approval to take on the indebtedness to build the building. But that request will not be for new taxes. It's just the approval of the taking on the indebtedness. So because of the way the city charter is written, that does have to be approved. So when that comes up and when it gets finally put on the ballot, you won't hear much from me except just the facts. So I'm hoping that you can explain that to everybody, because it's not new money. It's the money that voters have already approved to be spent on libraries. So that's the plan with that.
I want to clarify why you won't be saying anything about that.
Well, thank you, William. At the state elections office, they're government officials are not allowed to be pro or advocate. Yeah, thank you. Advocate for an issue, and the language is very loosey-goosey. So anything that I say could be interpreted as advocating. And so David Frazier, our city manager, just would like us to not talk about it at all. So that's, once it gets on the ballot, I will basically be zipped, and I will rely on all my fantastic citizens and supporters for a new building to make sure that people know they're not voting for a new tax. They're just approving us to build a building, which is something I think that when they approved the district, they already agreed that that money was going towards the libraries, and that's exactly how this is going to be spent. So,
Not to interrupt your presentation, but I understand, why do they have to take a vote to build it if the money is already there? Isn't usually votes to acquire the money?
Authorize the indebtedness.
Okay,
exactly,
all right.
exactly.
They need to issue bonds.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we want you guys to know what it is, so you'll be able to tell other people, because it's confusing. Because most times when you do a bond vote, you just assume it's new money, right? More money, yeah. And we don't think that would pass very well. So, yeah. So in other news, the library, as you know, is at the Carnegie. It's too small of a space, but we are just hustling and bustling and doing as much as we can in our little laboratory there, which is how I consider it, which includes things like getting Kindles out and stuff like that. Our foot traffic is at about 15,000 visits a year. That's a lot of people going in and out of that building. And we circulate about 40,000 items per month, every month, steadily. So those are about kind of the round figures. I already told you about visits to the neighborhood associations. You got some handouts. We have really been trying to increase what we do with teens. Last week we had like a YouTube night where like people come and share their favorite YouTube silly videos. You know, all had to be like clean and above board, and you know, it's kind of like watching America's Funniest Home Videos. Anyway, they loved it. You know, we had like 15 kids there. We're trying to grow those kinds of activities for them. So we have Wii night. You know, Wii is one of those gaming things. And it's going to be Dance Party 3. None of you are invited. You're not teens, I don't think. So you don't have to worry about getting on your boogie moves, which I understand boogie is no longer used as a word, but anyway. And Crafternoon, which is a cute little name, will be this weekend, which is making a duct tape wallet. If you're a teen, you like to do things like that. I told you about the Kindles already. We have Wi-Fi, and we do a lot of people bringing in their own computers and plugging into our Wi-Fi. That is one of the most popular things we do nowadays. We do a lot of that. And we also help people download audiobooks and ebooks. We spend a lot of time on that. We have classes, and we do individual sessions, and we make sure that everybody knows how to do that, because it's not exactly like going to Amazon, but you can get it for free from the library. So we have access to that service. We also have Willamette Falls National Heritage Area feasibility studies at the library right now, so you can go over there and read those and make public comments. That's the kind of thing that the library is really good for. We'll be hosting a movie in the park this summer with the Parks Department. We're planning for our anniversary already, which is not until the summer of 2013. The Carnegie Building will be 100 years old. It's actually a little older, but that's when the library opened, June 21st, 1913. So that's when we're kind of planning to focus our activities. So we have started thinking about that, just in case you're worried about it. And we're also doing some strategic planning so that when the design process starts, we've gathered a bunch of information from people about what's important to them that is going to happen in that library building. So like meeting rooms, we want to make sure that's important to me. I just want to make sure that's important to the community before we build it that way. So if you could go to our website and take our survey, that would be very helpful and very awesome. Let's see here. We've gotten some great gifts. The Optimist gave us $1,000, and the Friends of the Oregon City Library gave us a fantastic disc cleaner. So if you get an audiobook or a movie from us and it skips, please let us know, and we will just get that thing cleaned really fast in the disc cleaner. And that's about all I have. I know you guys like to get through this stuff fast.
Okay, well, that went really well.
No,
Thank you. I see Tom's name's up.
Great.
Yes, Mo, I had one question relative to the financing. I was not clear on what you said. You had initially indicated that we have $1.5 million currently on hand. We also are due another $1 million from the county. But then you went on to say that the building will be $10 million. Do you mean building and land, or just the building itself?
The whole project, hopefully, will be
project.
$10 million.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, you bet. And just so you know, I did go to building at Fort Vancouver Regional Library just this week, or last week, and it's about 24,000 square feet. They spent about $10 million for their entire project, and man, I think if we had a building like that, you guys would be very happy with that in Oregon City. So that estimate is in the ballpark, not exact, but.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
I plead ignorance.
Sure.
Does the library provide for people with low vision? I know through Lions that they usually have the big readers. Do they have that at our library? I've not had the need for it, so I don't know if you have it.
Right. That's a really good question, Tom. We don't have a specific station that has the really fancy optical stuff that people
To make
would
it
need.
larger, right.
But the state library, of course, has talking books and Braille for the blind. And then one reason that the ebook readers are so popular is that you can adjust the font size on it. And so for people with less good vision, that has been a very popular thing. But no, we don't have all the fancy stuff, and that would be something that actually gets asked in the survey. And if there's interest, we can look into that stuff.
Having worked at the Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation years ago, I knew that they had provided readers for some people who can't read anymore, or they have macular degeneration, and I thought that might be a good approach to the Lions of Oregon City to say maybe they could help acquire something for the library to help people with their reading.
I like the way you're thinking. That would be a great partnership.
I heard some other names of other organizations, and I thought maybe the Lions might be something that they could be proud to say that they helped those with low vision.
Thank you. I'll
read.
make a note of that for sure. Yeah.
But let me make note that the Optimists were there first.
Yeah, and they've been on
Well,
the
I'm not
line.
tied to
They've
any
been
group.
very
I'm not a
good.
line. I'm not any of those. I just thought.
Yeah,
I was just thinking of people trying to read. My vision's starting to go. Paul.
I just want to thank you for being our library director. You're a class act.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you. Wow. Can I come back? I like that.
Put her on the next agenda.
Okay, with no other further questions, we got through that.
I did have.
Oh, there's Mike. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Tom. So, the Carnegie, when the new building would be built, the Carnegie wouldn't have checkout possibilities or books. Then was that what I thought I heard?
Well, that's the plan right now. In fact, there's not really a plan for the Carnegie, but I can, I'm there. I see how popular it is. We definitely want to do our part to help keep it open as a public building. But right now, there's no plan to have a partial library collection there for checkout. Maybe there'll be like a reading collection there or something.
'Cause I like the Vancouver Library. I have a card for that library.
Great.
But I can also check out books at the Vancouver Mall.
Right.
And I can check out books on Lombard and also downtown and also on the new one on Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of an urban structure would be to have not a destination library, but accessibility to libraries in different neighborhoods. And since this one's already built and functioning as a library, and we have a lot of books and electronic equipment, I would hope that maybe the library board and people working with the library would consider keeping the ability to check out books within a walking distance of a very old and great neighborhood.
It is.
Where they wouldn't have to drive up and cause more traffic up there and keep some of the vibrancy and the McLaughlin neighborhood and the relevancy of it as a library, which was created for, and not just with a coffee shop and biscuits and things.
Well, I'll definitely try and keep that in mind as I'm trying to figure out how we can pay for the staffing and for the bonds in that one budget, because it's not a bad idea. I just not sure quite how to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bet.
Okay, Doug. Or Mr. Mayor.
Get my clothes.
I just wanted to state, a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5, there was, in fact, a Carnegie use committee which identified about almost everything you could possibly do there. I think that kind of thing was discussed. Art was, an art gallery was discussed. There were just a whole lot of things that were presented, but no decisions were made.
Right. And that was actually just the year before we moved in, and we've been there less than 2 years now, so that's pretty recent. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd forgotten about that.
This is so strange to have you on that side of the microphone, Doug.
Well, and I think I mentioned when you came to our neighborhood last month that that maybe it could be a history library of Oregon City, of all the papers and things that pertain to Oregon City and how it became about, that people could come in, do research, so that it still stays in some form. Because I agree with Mike, as you knew, because I had told
Yeah, you did. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Make all the people in San Francisco come up here to see the plat as it was filed in Oregon City. Okay, that went really well again. Wow, we're moving right ahead. So next, let's have Andrea for the National Night Out. So you get the rest of their time, so you have a half hour, 45 minutes. Just kidding. Just kidding.
She has other commitments.
So my name is Andrea Schmierbach, and I am volunteering with the Oregon City Police Department on the National Night Out Committee, which a few of you up here are also on. I just wanted to come and formally invite everyone to the party, which will be Hawaiian themed this year. So wear a luau shirt to get a raffle ticket. It will be on Tuesday, August 7th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Chapin Park. And National Night Out, for those unaware of what it stands for, it's a national program that they put together that's celebrated typically in small communities, individual neighborhoods, to help fight crime, build that commitment and bond and partnership between residents and the police departments. And Oregon City Police Department has developed this one to be a community-wide event for everyone here. So with this event, they started doing this. Can you help me? It's been several years. This is only the second year that we've developed a committee to put this together. So in the past,
I think it's been 5 or 6 years.
That's what I was thinking.
Then 2 years ago, the Chiefs Advisory Committee decided to supplement that as kind of our summer project, because the committee doesn't meet during the summer. So we volunteered to take it on as our summer project, and boy, did it take off.
It did. They went from approximately 200 people attending every year to last year we upped that to 575 citizens and residents. We're hoping to get that figure up even more this year. Some of the things that the event offers, there will be live music, free food, barbecue, lots of family events going on, a canine demonstration that will be put on by the police department, free children's ID kits, which can be pretty costly to go out and buy for a family, and we've been able to get those donated. We'll have a coloring contest, and we're inviting local businesses and vendors and different organizations to come and let this community know what's available to them as resources right here in town, and really build that bond between everybody. So we'll have raffle drawings, and we're looking for, you know, different prizes, and any donations or any involvement that anyone has suggestions, we're very open to that. So
the other thing that's really important is the connection that the community can make with our police department, with individual members of our police department, because they're walking, talking, breathing people just like you and me. And sometimes we forget that, and we forget that we have an opportunity at least once a year to rub elbows with these ladies and gentlemen that we are very, very proud of. So take that into consideration. Great opportunity to bring the kids and grandkids to meet a real cop and sit in a real police car and pet a real police dog, and it's just a real thrill for them also.
Can you get handcuffed for free too?
Positive interactions start that young, so they want to remain that way. So, yeah.
Okay.
So everyone, please come out and bring friends and family, and absolutely.
Thank you. Doug, you're going to have to go out and get a new Hawaiian shirt.
Council.
Walter.
Hi, Andrea. Is there possible to scan a PDF and send it to all the neighborhood leaders, and that way we
Yeah.
can post on Facebook? And send
We
to
are
our
going to be
email list?
updating the city website along with the Facebook page. Chris Wadsworth with the police department, she is out of the office until June 18th. So we kind of threw this together to wing it for this, but we will be trying to go to individual neighborhood meetings between now and then, sending updates. On the bottom of this one is Chris's email address. So if you want to shoot her an email as well, and then we can forward any additional copies. You just might not hear back from her until around the 18th of June.
Okay, thank you.
Tom O'Brien.
Is Steve McAdoo going to be invited back?
We haven't gotten that far yet. Actually, Steve is no longer the PIO.
Right.
So we might be.
I think we have to invite him, though.
I think we should too. Good asset.
Okay. I guess that's it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we move to item number 4 on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. So, Secretary, Mr. Gifford.
I think that we had gone through the minutes a couple of times. Katie and I had made a couple of pre-edits of that, and as we pass it around to both the chair and the vice chair, we've had a few eyes looking at this. And if there are no modifications to the minutes of May 7th meeting, I'd sure like to have a motion to approve these as written.
Steve?
I know that, as we discussed, it's the CIC booth at the farmers market was stated at the meeting in the third Saturday, and it's actually going to be the fourth Saturday?
But the minutes are to
The minutes
reflect-
say the third Saturday, so I just
That'll be
wanted to
brought
get...
up under new business.
Okay.
We still need a motion.
I make the motion.
Oops, now you both can't do it.
Okay, I second it.
Okay. Larry and Kathy, thank you.
Don't get in a fight.
We won't. That never happens.
Okay, let's call for a vote. All those in favor of approving these minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
Okay, that's because you're not here. I mean, you weren't here. He's still not here. Okay, they're approved.
Pick on Tom.
Okay, next, going into old business. Proposed changes to Clackamas Park. Larry Hanlon, any updates?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I brought this to the attention of the disabled veterans, Vietnam disabled veterans, and it's a real hot button right now. They take real offense that Oregon City is going to take one of their rights away by taking their free parking downtown. So they want nothing to do with our city or our free parking at this time. So I think that it's time to back away from that and go at it next year when the bridge is open and we've got a little better attitudes and tempers. Because it's a real, they took on the city of Portland and they're ready to take Oregon City on, and I'm not ready for that. So I'm just going to back away from it.
So you're saying the downtown parking is having that impact?
I would like to put it on the-
Clackamas Park. What?
Yeah, let's get the bridge done, get the parking settled in Oregon City, and give it 6 months and go at it again. That's my recommendation.
I don't think we need a vote for that since
Nope.
you're the committee on that. Okay.
Appreciate
You
it.
all understand that? Okay.
When you talk about the parking in downtown Oregon City, are you talking the handicap parking issue?
Disabled veterans, handicap parking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With no further discussion on that, let's move to new business, number 6. Any new business? I believe there is.
Yes, under new business, as Steve was pointing out, we had voted last month to do to have the CIC booth at the farmers market on third Saturdays. As it turned out, that third Saturday, and Larry and I were the only ones that had volunteered to staff that booth, but third Saturday last month was so packed with, Teddy Bear Parade, everything was happening that day. So Larry and I made an executive decision and decided to do it on the fourth Saturday. And so we went there on the fourth Saturday. We had very good response. There were a lot of people that showed up. Several people stopped by the booth, saw us there. And it was, again, well received. A lot of people don't know about the neighborhood associations. It amazes me. And so we were handing out flyers and getting a lot of names. And we would propose that we do this every fourth Saturday rather than third Saturdays from now on, which I look back on in my old emails, and that's the way we did it the last couple of years. It was on the fourth Saturdays.
Okay. Right. That doesn't take a vote, so.
No, it doesn't take a vote. Well, unless somebody wants to fight us and do it on the third Saturdays. But I'll give them the booth if they want to set it up on third Saturdays, but I'm just going to do it on the fourth.
Okay. Did you have another?
And if somebody else wants to do that with us, I know that Paul mentioned that he would be willing to step up sometime, and I know that Steve had pointed out that he wasn't able to do it on the third Saturday, so if you'd like to do it on a fourth Saturday, and anybody else that would like to come out on a fourth Saturday, please give me a call or send me an email, and we'll arrange a time. I get there at 8:15 or so, set the booth up, and then we tear it down promptly at 2, so it's not a huge commitment of time. Nice way to chat with your neighbors.
The other thing, if you guys make that commitment and you can't really live up to it, you've got my phone number, and I don't mind covering your bases for you. It's just, you've got to want to be there, and I enjoy it. And anybody that collects, Walter brought me coffee and visited with me, and that's all I ask for is, it's something that we all do, and I don't feel any animosity about people not coming.
Walter?
Well, I was just going to suggest that we can easily map out the summer. So I think what happened last year was that it was kind of last minute, and only one or two people were getting stuck every time.
I don't feel that we were stuck, and
We don't feel stuck.
We're not stuck.
No, I mean not stuck, but sometimes there were other things happening those days, and, so
and that's
then it
fine,
was-
Walter.
Okay,
That's fine. Yeah, we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to make it real formal. I'm
Okay.
saying that Larry and I, not speaking for Larry, but
No, I've made the commitment.
we're ready to do it. I mean, we'll do it all day, every fourth Saturday. If somebody wants to join in the fun, give us a call.
I think Larry was referring to the fact that I've been trying to encourage everyone to come out and support these guys. I helped them last year. This year I've been a little bit busy on those weekends, but just trying to encourage more people to participate.
And I appreciate
will try
that.
one.
I appreciate that. But you don't feel a commitment because it's not a big sacrifice.
Okay. Steve?
Well, this is a different topic if we're done with that one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I saw it under this.
Well, it's under
New business.
New
You're right.
business.
Okay.
So-
Is that it then, William?
Oh, I had another one, but I can wait for Steve.
Okay.
So we were contacted by Mr. Kowalski, who is in the area whose neighborhood association is the CIC, and he's been trying to get some information to explain his concerns, and I'm not sure what is the best venue for him to approach the CIC. Is it land use, parks? He's been working with
Why don't we have him
In
come
regard to
forward?
what?
Come on up.
Yeah.
If
Why don't
you're
you come on
willing
up?
to speak.
And then we can make a decision. I mean, maybe it falls under the land use group here to talk with you. So let's just hear what it's about here. Thanks, Steve.
Don, how do you spell your last name?
KOWALKOWSKI.
Oh, just how I spelled it.
Pardon?
That's just how I guessed it.
Yeah.
And while we're not the presentation like you would do for the city or anything like that, just kind of give us a general idea so that then we can decide does it fall under us or our land use. That's all.
Well, I live at 15751 South Washington Street, and just west of my home, they've planted a bunch of shrubs and trees
Who's
in the park.
Okay, so the
There's
city
a-
planted them?
No, I think ODOT or somebody required it because they pulled out 3 trees across the street from my
I'm trying to
house.
figure where in Washington this is going to be. Let's see.
It's about Polk in Washington. It's just north of the freeway on just off of 213 turns into Washington Street before you get to the Clackamas River there.
Oh, up there.
Down by the
Before you go
sewer
over the
company.
bridge.
Right beside the footbridge that's finally
Right.
open again.
Got it.
It
Right.
might be associated with the Water Environment Services project, putting in the
Right.
pipeline.
I think it was loosely, I'm not sure how it all connects, but I've talked to Larry Potter and what's the other guy's name? Scott Archer, about the issue. And the problem, I think, is somebody's come in there, planted those shrubs. They don't have the resources to mow that area. So now you have grass growing up high, and it invites several concerns that I have. Fire damage because it's not watered, it dries out and could be a potential fire hazard. It invites debris, weeds. It looks unsightly, and currently I've just been mowing a section of it because it looks terrible. And so I haven't quite resolved it, but I am in communication with Scott Archer, and hopefully we'll figure out something to do with those shrubs. Maybe we can relocate them. There's plenty of woods there, and the type of shrubs that they planted are things like azaleas, rhododendrons, Oregon grape, and there's some other ground cover that really do much better in the tree areas. And so there's some tree areas along there, and if they don't have the resources and the funding to do it, I'd be happy to transplant the things myself. They're really going to die where they are not taken care of.
That's it, Bruce.
Nancy, any suggestions
Well,
where this
I
belongs?
am not really sure what this might be for. If it's part of the county's pipeline project, it doesn't sound like it would be associated with that.
It was
though.
associated with the pipeline project only because they took out 3 trees.
Oh, because they had to do replacement.
Yes, but they replaced it with, I don't know, there must be 100 shrubs and trees that they planted through there.
So-
And it's in the area between the sidewalk and the parking lot. So it's, they mow on the river side of that sidewalk, but between the sidewalk and the street, they don't mow it now, and it's overgrown and it looks unsightly.
Then I think that there's 2 other groups you might want to talk to. One is the planning department, and the gentleman there would be Peter Walters. He was the staff person on that project.
What's his name?
Pete Walters.
Pete
Mm-hmm.
Walters.
Right. And
Can you give him his phone number?
I'm not right now, but I can get it. And then also I suggest you come in here to our counter or call Bob Cullison. He's the engineering services manager for new
Spell
development.
that last name.
Cullison. And I can go get you Bob's card.
Okay, great.
There's Pete's phone number.
Oh, Pete's phone number, 503-496-1568.
I'm sorry, I got the 503.
496
496
1568.
156.
And then I'll go run and get Bob's card for you before
Okay.
the end of the evening. Okay.
Great. I haven't come to a standstill on the issue. I'm still working on it, so the communication's slow.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
slow as molasses.
I'm used to it. I worked for the city of Portland for 11 years. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you guys are much better than Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Before you leave, I know Steve, or Tom had something to say.
Is this city property that you're concerned about?
Yes. Yes, it's Park Bureau property.
Okay. Typically, for the kinds of things that you're describing, those are code issues.
Mhm.
If it was private property, code enforcement would get involved. I don't know in the case of city whether they would enforce code against themselves, but I would hope that they would.
Well, so would I, because the street the lot right across the street from me, after I moved in, no one took care of it, so I called the nuisance bureau, and they told them either you mow that, or we're going to mow it and bill you. Now, to me, what's good is good for the goose is good for the gander. And if the city's going to require somebody to mow, they ought to take care of their property better. But under the circumstances, since a third party came in and planted those trees, and really they were surprised that they showed up. Now they're stuck with the shrubs, and they don't have the resources to hand mow. And I think that's the problem. And if we can get those back into the trees, where they really belong, then they can run their mowers through the open areas, and it'll look nice again. The rest of the park, clear on down through the where the dump area is, all down through there, all that looks nice. I mean, they mow that really nice. But then you come up by our house, and there's this one section now.
Okay. I know in days gone by, years gone by, your house would have been in what considered the Park Place neighborhood, and then they made it to CIC. But as William pointed out, we'd invite you to come back any time as part of this, living in the CIC district down there. If you have other concerns or things that you'd like to address, please feel free to come back.
So you three are part of that.
Well, we're all part of the whole group here.
Oh,
we're just
okay.
the representatives.
So I'm kind of no
Pardon?
man's land. I'm kind of in no man's land. I'm
No,
everybody.
you're under the CIC, so you're part of us.
Right, that's part of us.
For land use issues and these kinds of issues you're dealing with, because it does not fall into a specific neighborhood, it's covered by the Citizen
CIC.
Involvement Council.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we weren't even notified that they were going to do this.
Right.
You know, they say it. Scott sent me all the notices, and I actually read them and didn't see anything wrong with any of the issues that they were going to be doing. And then all of a sudden, they plant these trees.
Okay.
And you know, there's another issue which I have resolved. They came through and they laid that main, and then they weren't going to pave the street, leave it the way it was. Well, they finally agreed that, you know, they're going to pave the rest of that street. So it'll look nice again, too.
Thank you, and please
Thank
feel
you.
free to come back and report to us any time about
Okay.
issues
Thanks,
in
Tom.
that area. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay. Tom O'Brien, did you have any more?
No.
Okay, nobody else? With
Yes.
no. Oh, I'm sorry, William. You're right. You had another one.
Under the item of new business, I want to talk about the Tower Vista Neighborhood Association.
Yes, I
and I think this is probably an appropriate time to do it rather than waiting for the roundtable. As you all know, or may know, the co-chair of the Tower Vista Neighborhood Association has been seriously ill for the last several months and is unable to fulfill his duties. There was a co-chair that was elected who has not been able to participate as much as he had wanted. So, meanwhile, the meetings need to go on because the neighbors still want to meet, even though they don't have a chair yet. So, next Wednesday, the 13th, I believe, they'll be meeting, and they meet at the Ainsworth House. It's very nice. We have Nancy Bush giving her code presentations and so on. But that's next Wednesday, and unless someone else wants to step up and do it, I'll be chairing that meeting, just like I had to chair Gaffney Lane because Amy wasn't there last time. So if there's anyone else that wants to step up and chair one of these neighborhood association meetings that is missing a chair, I'd be more than happy to step aside. Otherwise, you want to do it? Great.
No. Who I recommend is Ray Gordon, because she's feeling somewhat left out, and I think she'd be a good solution on a short-term basis. I'd be glad to talk to her. You ask her.
Talk to her, yeah, we'll talk to her.
I think she'd be real good at it.
In lieu of somebody else, I'll go ahead and step in then, unless you feel like chairing another meeting.
Let's ask Ray if she'd like to.
Good answer, Tom. But if there's a problem...
I'm willing to share.
And I would. I mean, if something comes up and I was needed, I would. Of course I would.
Okay.
I was happy enough to come to Barkley Hills a month or so ago.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. Now we move into the most important part of the evening. Item number 7, Ask OCPW. Nancy Gershauer.
Okay, well, it seems like it's mostly OCPW tells. but I would, after I finish sharing some items I think you'd be interested in knowing about, definitely here to answer any questions you have as well. So first of all, we've been working on the transportation system plan, and gosh, I think we've been working on it now for about 9 months or so. And we've made a lot of progress, and we've scheduled our second public open house, and that will be on June 18th, which is coming up, from 5 to 7 here at City Hall. And we encourage everyone to come. As you probably recall, No, not that.
Oh, okay.
That's different.
So
I
that-
don't have a handout for the TSP open house because we're still working on a little poster for that.
The
It
date
is
again?
already, that would be June 18th, 5 to 7, and it is already posted on our website. Could you pass those to those guys? And then I want to remind everyone again to, you can read all of the technical memorandums or just go through the summaries. They're all posted on the Transportation System Plan website. And there's also a place to make comments and to flag concerns you have. Now we're down to about 6 questions of the month. We've added questions each month. And I have these little cards that show that have the website for the TSP on it.
But we don't have neighborhood.
Yes, I know.
Then the next item I did give you a handout for, and that is on June 19th. If you want to be really busy going to meetings this month, from 5 to 6:30, there will be an open house here at the Pioneer Community Center, and that will be put on by ODOT, and they will be presenting information all about their pavement reconstruction project that is going to happen this summer on 99E McLaughlin Boulevard, which if you've driven through Oregon City on 99E, you know that it needs pavement maintenance badly.
At least.
And this will be between 10th Street in downtown Oregon City, and it's going to go all the way to Canby, to Territorial Road in Canby. They're going to start on the Oregon City end, and I believe they'll be starting in mid-August. But they didn't have the final schedule from the contractor yet. They know that there are plenty of concerns that the downtown businesses will have about doing yet another project in the downtown area this summer. And therefore, they wanted to make sure that everybody gets this open house on their calendars and they can come and ask questions and find out more about when the construction hours will be and the logistics of the construction. Okay?
So when that's repaving and smoothing it out so we can go faster?
Nancy, where's that first open
Through
house?
Kanema.
The TSP.
Through Kanema. Yeah.
The TSP open house is here at City Hall.
City Hall, thank you.
Yes.
So this project is now in 2 phases, a phase for Oregon City to Territorial and another phase from Territorial to Pine.
I don't know about the phase from Territorial to Pine. Then it probably is, yeah.
That's the Canby section.
Next thing I gave you a handout on is I would welcome you all to go down to the Willamette Terrace. We completed our interpretive signage project down there, and yes, I was in charge of it. That's why it took so long. We've got 3 really very, very tasteful signs that tell stories about the history of Oregon City, particularly that part of Oregon City. And the contractor that constructed the E-Pay deck at the terrace, we had him install the signs because he knows the deck inside out. We wanted to make sure there weren't any structural implications from the installation. But they really look great. There's also a sign that shows the multi-use trail, which we call the Willamette River Trail, down at right around 12th and 99E, and that kind of shows you where you are relative to the Willamette River Trail, taking you through Clackamas Park, over to by the Tri-City Treatment Plant, and all the way into downtown Oregon City. So that's a little further down on McLaughlin. These signs are actually on the Willamette Terrace itself.
Nancy, while
It's
you're on
nice.
that, in looking at the text and the headings for these 3 signs, none of them are addressing what's prominent in the background, the Abernathy Bridge.
No.
Would we want to put a 4th one up talking about the Abernathy Bridge
No.
and Mr. Abernathy's history in the city?
Would just, if I hadn't thought about it, I'd have to give it some thought and talk about it. It wasn't part of the original project. The original project was just to talk about the history of the river and the trade that occurred in this area. So, but it's certainly something we could do in the future.
It's a significant part of the river these days. That's where the jams are.
Yeah.
Isn't Tumwater from Washington?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I might add that these signs were reviewed by multiple parties. We had made sure that the tribes reviewed all the information, the history, and we routed it to a long list of people to assure as much accuracy as possible and check for editing and that kind of thing.
Apparently not the CIC.
So, Tom, I didn't completely answer your question. That could be a project for the future.
Oh, that Tom.
And then the last couple of things I have here really have to do with the paving and your PMUF in Oregon City. The contract has been not awarded quite yet, but we've opened the bids for the slurry seal project for this summer, the 2012 slurry seal list. And I gave you all a map that shows where you can expect slurry seal construction to be occurring in a neighborhood near you. So just thought you would want to have this information. There will be advanced signage out in these neighborhoods, and our crews always go door to door and make sure people know when the slurry seal operation is going to be occurring in in that neighborhood, because we do require that folks stay off the road that day while the operation is occurring. As you can see, we're trying to make sure that we get around the entire city, because you know what, everybody's paying that utility fee, and we have needs all over the city too, so it's quite easy to make sure we're doing some work throughout the entire city. And then,
If I may,
yes,
I also want to say that John Lewis, I want to give a tip of the hat to John Lewis, who's been going around the neighborhoods and giving detailed presentations on their particular projects for their particular neighborhoods. Doing a good job.
yeah, I was going to cover this anyway, but the other really great thing that John spearheaded was he put together, we worked with a consultant and worked with all of Public Works to come up with a 5-year paving plan that looks not only at the paving conditions, but also if there's any underground utility needs that have to be done, and trying to wed the underground utility needs with the pavement improvements so that we don't have to go in and tear up streets that were just paved.
Good.
And that's online if you want to look at it.
When is this project due to be completed then?
Due to be completed?
Never.
Well, I mean, this one phase.
Kathy, I don't know if I have the schedule right now, but I can get that to, I'll get the schedule to Katie, and then maybe she could distribute it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything further, Nancy?
Yes. Then the other pavement item is as you know, the slurry seals are just preventative maintenance. It's just a thin coat of oil and sand over the existing road, basically to put a good surface coat on the pavement again to keep water from penetrating. And because when water penetrates, then the pavement falls apart fast. And now the other component of our paving management is to do the reconstruction projects, and every summer we have reconstruction contract as well. And the other map I put at your desks is the likely areas where we'll see more significant pavement reconstruction, either a dig out and replacement or overlays. And the reason why it's marked draft is this is a 50% review set of plans, and the next thing we get from the consultant doing the work is the cost estimate. And so this is what we're proposing. If for some reason it ends up with a cost estimate higher than what we've budgeted for the year, we'll have to put some of these off till the next year. But this is a good information for if you're interested, or if any of your neighbors are interested in what streets could get torn up for reconstruction this summer.
Nancy, C1 there at, on 2nd and Tumwater.
Yes.
That's going to be exciting with 10,000 cars going through that daily.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sell admission.
How about Molala?
Is exciting the right word?
Yeah, it means there's a one hell of a lot of misdirection, redirection.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, if you survive the jug answer.
Yeah, no, we're.
It's only fair that you're.
Stay out of Oregon City during the slurry seals.
There will be detour signage and notification ahead of time for people to plan their route or have fun.
Okay, William, I see you.
I'm looking at C15 and noticing that that is at the intersection of, I guess, 15, 16, where Beaver Creek is going to be getting that new right turn lane. So I'm hoping that's going to be
Coordinated.
coordinated. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it is.
the word.
In fact, they're doing some of the storm drainage improvements with the pavement project.
Oh, good.
Slurry seal used to be referred to as chip and seal. It chips your windshield and seals the street.
Thank you.
Okay, then.
Now it's slurries.
So then, there's two more items I have. One is, we've
Nancy,
just...
one other question while we're on this draft. There had been
I've
talk.
had okay.
There'd been
There's lots of hands up.
Okay.
Instead of just
Sorry.
speaking out. Oh, I thought we were waiting to her to finish or something. I'm sorry.
So did I.
I thought she was moving on to something else.
No, I
Is this about the slurry seal? Your
This
question?
This is about this draft proposal.
And
for-
is that what yours questions are about? Okay. Go ahead, Tom, and then let's get to these.
Let Walter go first.
No,
I didn't
I'm
see you out
way
there.
over.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the map.
I think you had your hand up.
Without having a map, can I just ask, is Chapin Park on that plan?
Why don't you have a map?
Can somebody,
No. No, Chapin is not on there.
Chapin Park is I was going to see if it was on there.
You mean the parking lot?
Is that part of the city's?
It's not covered in the pavement management utility fund. The pavement within the street areas are what we cover with this pavement.
So do I just need to put in a picture request complaint for Chapin Park? Is that the best way to find out about that?
I could also,
You can't drive into that.
that's a parks maintenance issue, and you could send me an email, or I could talk to Scott Archer and let him know that there's a concern about the pavement at Chapin Park. I don't think that they'll really necessarily have the funding to repave it, but we can at least talk about it.
Because there aren't even stripes on it anymore, so
Oh, yeah,
it's not a safe parking spot.
Just for the listeners at home and on the recording, Amy is talking about the parking lot at Chapin Park. Amy, the recording won't pick up your comments if you're not using a microphone.
we will. Okay.
My question to Nancy is the following.
Go home.
On C2, Nancy, the last I had heard was that there was going to be a roundabout put in at that intersection. Is that part of this reconstruction project?
No, it's not. That'd be a future
We're going to
project.
reconstruct it and then tear it up and put a roundabout in?
Well, I think what they're doing there is they're keeping the future construction of a roundabout in mind, but the pavement in there is so badly damaged. I think they're going to go up to the edges where they possibly can to leave what they can that would be disturbed later with a roundabout. And the roundabout, it probably isn't. We're not looking at construction for 5 to 10 years out. So likely, I know that when they're doing the design of this particular section of pavement rehabilitation, they're keeping the future construction in mind and making sure that they try to minimize the investment now and think about the boundaries of the future roundabout.
When the discussion came up about the roundabout was approximately 2 years ago, and at that time it was 5 years out, which would mean it's 3 years from now. So that's been pushed back to another 10 years?
Well, I guess right now we haven't been getting a lot of transportation system development charges in because of the slow growth in the community. So we don't have the funds to complete it right now. We do have the funds to start the design, but we haven't made the decision to start the design without having a better idea of when the construction could occur, when the funding would be available.
It would seem to me with the expansion that's going on at the hospital that becomes a critical issue to improve that intersection.
That is something to bring up in the transportation system plan, Tom. So that's something that they're looking at. It's still a matter of cost.
Understand that, but we don't need serious accidents there, which are going to continue to occur.
Walter, did you have, before I get to Doug, because I see Doug's.
The only thing I was going to mention was that when we talk about 99 and then people talk about the jug handle, everyone seems to have this kind of, groan and negative. But we have to remember that a lot of this, just for our citizens, it's an improvement for their lives. There's a lot of jobs involved, and this is all related to the stimulus that happened, many years ago. So we're actually seeing the direct result of what happened about 3 years ago. And so, I don't know, I just thought maybe we have to remember that this is, it's funny to joke about it and we're inconvenienced and all this stuff, but ultimately this is how progress happens, and it's all actually happening in our neighborhood. It's pretty exciting, I think. So, thank you.
Walter. Now, Doug. Do you need to come up so people can hear you? Sorry, Doug. You only have 3 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's a great idea, Tom O'Brien's, to take a look at what the hospital perhaps should be contributing in terms of their expansion to that particular development. I presume SECs would be coming into play there. But I surely would not want to hold up that work on division. There's not a month not a month goes by. I don't have a complaint about that. Not a month.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you, Doug.
I want to stress that they really are carefully looking to coordinate whatever they invest there with future construction issues, because we don't want to go wasting our money. I can guarantee you that.
Well, my point was, and to go and capture what Doug has said, division is a critical issue. But if the C2 portion, the actual physical intersection, can be delayed until such time as the roundabout goes in, I think we avoid wasting money.
And as I recall, there's also a water line issue in there, so that's why this is marked draft. We're ironing out a lot of those details.
Ingrid.
When, on Memorial Day weekend, I was in the park called the cemetery up off of Hilda Street, and I was concerned about the way the roads or the way you drive are just crumbling. Is that a park situation, or is that considered a road?
If it's in Mountain View Cemetery, that would be in in a park.
Parks Bureau.
So we need to notify them that are.
Well, I have a feeling they know about it.
But I think, so how do we let them know that we're concerned about it too?
Pictures on your phone.
Yeah. Well, you could use the William. Tell us about the OC request. Or you can always just contact Scott Archer, send him an email.
Okay.
Or Larry Potter. Do you know how to reach them?
We've reached them before, so I think we can reach them again. Yes.
OC request is probably more effective because it's logged in and is followed up on by the
Okay.
city manager.
Okay.
Okay, then, let's see. We've just finished the 2010-2011 annual PMUF report, and this will be on the website. We are very apologetic and humbly ask for your forgiveness. We never got the 2010 done last spring, and then we just decided we'd combine it. So now we have 2010-2011, and they did a really super job of summarizing all the work that has been done, and I really encourage you to, it's not quite on the website, but I'll have Katie send out an email when it is posted on the website, because this is a really good informative piece of information for you to understand how your utility is being used and how the money is being spent.
Is there anything being added to the water bills to indicate to go into that website?
I don't think so.
People are seeing those charges come up on their bill, and they really have some questions in their mind about what it's being used for. I think it would be helpful to point them to the website.
It's a great idea.
Through an insert.
It's a good idea. Thank you. And then last is...
Excuse me.
Yes.
Will staff be giving a presentation of the PMUF report to the City Commission?
Yes.
So I would suggest that we remind our neighbors that they can be watching that presentation at the City
It'll be
Commission,
brief, but
whenever that's
it'll
going to be.
Yeah.
When's it going to be?
I think it's going to be the second meeting in June.
So it's the third Wednesday in June. That should be visible on the city.
That's the 20th? 21st? 20th. June 20th. Oh, it says right here on the
Yes.
cover, City Commission presentation, June 20th.
There you go.
And then the last thing is, we will be asking the City Commission to award the construction bid contract this coming Wednesday night, so that we can add a right turn lane. If you're going east or south on Beaver Creek Road, we're adding a right turn lane so you can go south on Molalla, and that project will be starting very soon, this summer.
It looked as though some of that had been fenced off already, and it looks like there's going to be some significant tree removal there.
I'll have to check it.
Yeah, it looked. I just walked it yesterday, the day before, Saturday, and there's some 2 or 3 good-sized trees there, probably 6-inch diameter.
Do you want to report on that?
I'm curious about it.
Okay.
If they're going to be removing those trees. I just couldn't quite envision how they're going to put on a
I'll find out
right
about
turn
that.
lane without taking out some trees. I mean, if they have to do it, they have to do it. But I was kind of surprised.
Want.
So is that a right turn? Is that a right turn from Beaver Creek Road onto Molalla?
Yes.
By there's a gas station right there?
No,
On Cat
this
corner
is
from the gas station.
If
Going
you were-
toward Pine Mart from the City Hall, from Old City Hall, Red Soils.
This would be if you had just been at the county at the farmer's market,
Mm-hmm.
and you were going to be going to,
Fred Meyer's.
let's say, Fred Meyer or Higgins or any place down south on Molalla. You would be driving on Beaver Creek Road, you want to turn right on Molalla, and in about 6 months, there will be a right turn lane there for you. Right now, there are 2 through lanes, and the right lane doubles as a right turn lane.
Oh, is that why they're doing the construction there?
Yes.
And it was actually called out in this county's Red Soils master plan as a need. So that's where we're getting to the work now. So that's it for me.
Do you have any other announcements to make?
I was going to do it during the roundtable.
Okay, we'll wait.
Just in case nobody knew.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Let's go right to number 8, committee reports. Land Use Committee? Nothing?
Nothing.
Bylaws Revision Committee, we waited till mid-month to get the original documents from Vicki Yates, and we're working on that. Our committee will meet in June, and we'll be back to you in July. That's it for that report. Now let's go to roundtable. So let's start out in the audience with Bob and work our way around. Have anything to say, Bob? Okay. Have you spoken? Rachel? Okay. Steve, let's just work our way around.
Well, can we hit Howard?
I was going to come back to them at the end. I guess, if you don't mind, Steve, let's just finish with the audience out there then, and then we'll move up to us. Okay, Howard?
Yeah. I'm always one of doom and gloom.
Okay, save him to the last.
No, I'm going to start the positive note. The Kanema Park is magnificent, and Doug's going to dedicate it on the 14th, so come up and see it if you haven't saw it.
June 14th?
June 14th, right, Doug? Or Mayor Neely, I'm sorry. More phone. My concern tonight is Metro.
Is what?
And their
Metro.
Metro, and their development of their land behind the Children's Park. If you read the paper here last week, you saw quite an article about it. And alluding to that, we did a little survey in Kanema about what the residents, people using the park, wanted to see in the development of the Metro land. We went through a little survey or problem about 2 years ago. You guys will remember Metro come in and was going to cut 30 trees. It cut 150 trees. Went across the cemetery road, did all kinds of damage, just another decision. The survey, we asked 5 questions. It said, what do you want to see in the development of the Metro Parklands behind the Children's Park? First question was either yes or no. All the questions were yes or no. Leave nature it is, as it is. 96% said leave it alone. Second question was cutting and logging of all the big fir trees below the cemetery road. 96% of people said leave it alone, don't cut the trees. Next question was better trails, yes or no? 96% said we'd like better trails, just clear the trails out and make them more walkable. Next question was cutting out more blackberries and poison oak. 92% said we'd like to see that done. The last question was having Metro add more overflow parking. 59% said we'd like to see more parking. In essence, taking the gate behind the children's park and just moving it back like 100 feet and just putting some gravel in just to make an overflow parking. Metro doesn't really want to do that at the moment, but that's the problem. Our big question is here that we did the survey and we were told by Metro that the survey has no balance of anything. They don't really care what the citizens want. They're going to do what they want to do, and that's a direct quote. So we're really kind of concerned with this. It's getting some pretty heated discussions with Metro, and so we're trying to work this out, trying to say, listen, we all kind of want the same thing here, but we don't want you to cut all the big trees. For your information, they want to cut all the fir trees west of the cemetery road. They want to take a perfect nature area and create a oak park. They say the fir creates a canopy and doesn't let the light in so the oaks can grow. If you cut all the fir trees, the oaks can grow, but the blackberries and the poison oak come in. Then they come in and spray the poison oak. So our question is really, it's a perfect nature area. And it's their land. We realize they're probably going to do what they want to do, but we would like to have them not cut all the big fir trees. Because if any of you guys have been out there, you'll see it. If you haven't been out there, come out and Paul and I will take you for a walk. Because it's pristine and it's beautiful. And they're going to redevelop it and change it totally from what it is. And the neighborhood is concerned with this, really concerned. And we went through this 2 years ago. They told us they weren't going to do it, and they went and did. And so they kind of just do what they want to do. And I realize Metro's the entity in home, but our own money comes through this, and they get their funding from it. So we're really concerned about cutting all these big trees because it's going to change the whole landscape.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I have to say, so I'm just trying to bring you up to speed and kind of keep you up to speed to what's happening.
Howard, stay there. We've got 3 comments. Remember, this was supposed to be roundtable, not present.
I'm sorry, but...
No, not for you, but I'm seeing these comments, so keep it kind of brief to what you have to say. Please.
I just have a question of you, Howard. Have you had conversations with our Metro representative?
We have some. We're going to have some more.
With Carlette?
With Metro, with the top third man, and we're going to have a top with a top man.
No, I'm talking about our personal representative for this region.
Carlotta Colette is her name.
I talked to, yes, when we went through this before. Metro was going to come in, and all of a sudden, they just decided they were going to cut 290 trees. This was about 6 months ago or a year ago. They told my wife that. I called up Colette, and we had a very tense discussion. And I called up Barbara Roberts, talked to her. They're both counselors, and they stopped the project. Now they want to restart it again.
Okay. She is supposed to be representing us.
Yes, Coletta represents us. She's going to be here the 14th after the park opens, and they're going to walk through the park, so we can do that.
Mike Berman.
I just wanted to kind of agree with Howard. I walk the park quite a bit, and it isn't I guess a time of patience. I think Metro has overstepped their bounds a little bit. I mean, it's their property. The park wouldn't be here but for them, so we have to give them that. But if you've walked it over the last couple decades and you've walked recently, it's there is a lot of. Somebody asked when I was up there a couple days ago, what does poison oak look like? And it was really easy for me to show them, and poison ivy. It's really quite amazing how much it's grown. So I think I do agree with, and maybe that's something that we should bring up I think someone said at another agenda, or put it on the agenda for another, and bring it to the CIC for another meeting.
My question, when you talk about putting it on the agenda, isn't this something that belongs to the city commission rather than what can we do as the CIC
We can't.
We can't,
Except make a recommendation.
make a recommendation.
That's what I was going to.
Is that what you, because
And we can do that now.
And we could do it now, because it seems like we're spinning wheels, and this is going to postpone it for another whole month, so.
Yeah.
We can recommend that they bring it to the city commission.
Okay, let's do that, then. Somebody make those motions.
So move.
Do you want proper wording, or will you put it in the correct words that we make the?
I think that we can,
But
I think
because
I
my
can.
question was, is how can we support and get them to notice what the public wants in
Because
their
we're losing time.
living room?
So.
So I so move that we.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Do you want to, before we have anybody vote, let's state what it's gonna say for the most part?
My understanding was that we would write a letter to the city commission asking them to review Metro's activities in the area south of the children's park.
And express their concerns on the citizens of Oregon City, something to that effect.
Would you like to write that?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there's some concerns of the citizens. So.
Well, that's why we're bringing it up.
Well, actually, the other concern is if they start taking logging trucks in there, what are they going to be doing to all that property with the heavy equipment? What else are they going to ruin in the process of cutting something down?
I think the city commission would approach that properly. Okay, so all those in favor of sending this letter of support to the city commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So done. So be it. Okay.
One last thing.
No, just kidding.
No. The cemetery road is a whole different thing now.
Okay.
They used the road last time. Now they're going to go down below the Metro, the DOT land on the bottom down there where the road is. They're going to they have a road up there. They're going to come in, cut around behind the cemetery, and hook up to the other road, that adjacent cemetery road. We're asking them for a 5 or 10 year plan to where's all this going. I mean, what are your plans for this area? We can't really get a good definition, but they want to put a road in so they have access, and who knows what.
Okay. So that could be part and parcel of this whole request to the city commission, and maybe the commission will appoint some people from your neighborhood to
maybe,
take care of this as a group
yeah.
with the blessing of the city commission. But
Yeah. Well, we're
let's
just
put that
hoping-
all together as
yeah.
one.
We're hoping to make more people aware, and politics is probably the art of compromise, and we're hoping to save some of the trees, probably not all of them, but we'd like, there's some big fir trees like this, and once they're gone, they're gone. And if the oak gets diseased, then what do you have? Nothing, a big field.
Maybe they'll make
Anyway,
make
thank
the
you.
gavel. Okay, Linda, anything? Okay, Doug, anything? Yes. By the way, we're really honored that you take the time, because we know how busy your schedule with all the meetings. We're honored you come to these meetings. Thank you.
I was glad to hear at the last comment something about compromise. This is a regional park system. It's not a Canby park, and that was selected specifically because of the oak savanna nature of the area. These are largely lost. The whole of the Willamette Valley prior to Western colonization of this area was covered with oak savanna. You may know that I think they're off the endangered list. There are white-tailed deer in the area of Roseburg and on the lower Columbia. They extended throughout the Columbia and up the Willamette, and it was because of the Native American management of those areas, which permitted the savannas to come in and so forth. And there's very few remaining savannas there, and they bought it specifically to not only preserve the savanna that's there, but to expand it. That was the reason they procured it. And if they hadn't procured it, I think some of you know, there'd be about 40 or 50 houses out there right now. I think that need is there. Whether it's needed to the extent that it's been described at this point, I don't know. But I would hope that you would consider a compromise, because frankly, it was the prime reason for procuring the Metro Bluff area, the Kenema Bluff area to begin with, was because of that specific habitat, and that was the reason they came in. And my involvement with Metro goes back about, goes about 16 years, so 15 years. So I saw that process going forward, and that was the reason. It's the procurement from the first bond measure that they had. So I had to say that, and I don't think frankly, although I think it's been explained at some points to the Kanema neighborhood, I think a lot of people, residents of Kanema and of the city in general, don't know the reasons why that was procured.
I'd like to make a comment. I personally went to the Metro councilors to ask them to buy this, myself and David Hedges. I spent probably 10, 15 hours going from counselor to counselor to counselor, explaining what it was, what the 104 houses were going to be, that was going to be developed there. When we got them interested in doing this, there was no discussion whatsoever at that time about Oak Savannah, period. After the fact, they went back in and did some looking at it, but there's been a significant level of, and I've tracked it because I was part of that whole project from the word go, and there's been a great deal of revisionary thinking, expanding upon thoughts as they became more knowledgeable about it. My father-in-law cruised the whole area as a timber resource when he was representing Crown Zellerback, and our family has got, I live in a 120-year-old house, 1880 house. It's been in the family 120 years. We know the area significantly, and some of the ideas and thoughts that are being redeveloped today were never part of the discussion during the time that we talked them into buying the property. Never part of it.
You mean at the time they bought it, they had not had those discussions? I don't think that's true.
They were never part of the discussion when we went through the whole project with them. And I was there, and David Hedges was there, and Cap Hedges was there, and I would be very happy to bring them to the deal, because honestly, Doug, being there, having been one of the key salesmen trying to sell them on the acquisition of the property, and going from all of the Metro councilors at that time, all I can tell you is, as somebody right at the front of the line, I've seen what's happened. I see and understand how they're revisiting it today, but it was not part of that original discussion.
It was not a part of your original discussion. It was part of the discussion. They had to justify among the various regional parks why that special area was that special, and that was the reason. And I served on impact in that same period of time, so as Oregon City's representative, and so that was part of the discussion. That was part of the decision making, I should say.
This being roundtable, maybe that, as I said, maybe this could go, and maybe you could have a committee or through the city commissioner, somebody to look.
Just take it out in the parking lot.
Yeah. But let us move forward with roundtable. Did you have anything? Okay, then let's
Thanks,
move.
Mayor.
Let's move. Yes, appreciate all the conversation, but let's move forward. Steve, did you catch all that?
Did Rachel?
Wow.
Yes, I asked Rachel, and she said no.
Yeah. William, did you catch all that?
It's all written down here.
Wow.
I have to watch the video 3 times.
Okay, Hill and Dale Neighborhood Association. We're having our steering committee tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. Bugattis. Come hungry. We're preparing for our regular general meeting in July 3rd, I believe it is, and that'll be at a location yet to be determined. I'm sure that we're going to go ahead and maintain our meeting place at Bugattis for our general meeting, just because they've offered, and it's a nice place to meet. So tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., and July 3rd at 7. I was going to catch Maureen before she left, but she's always invited to come visit us at the Hill and Dale Neighborhood Association. You know, it sounds like, I'm hoping eventually the library is going to end up in our neighborhood. So that would be a big feather in our cap, and we want to make sure that Maureen has the backing of our neighborhood. Other than that, look for, look in your trails, what's the name of the magazine?
Trail News?
Yes. The schedule for the movies in the park for Wesley Lynn Park is in there, so take a look at those. That's going to be a fun thing. That's it.
Okay.
Walter White, Barkley Hills. So we have some part of our neighborhood that would like to consider zoning changes, and we've got some presentations ready to go, but the Planning Commission keeps canceling meetings. Does anyone know what's going on? When there will be a meeting that will actually...
They don't have a meeting.
Right, but I mean, so how do you get...
If there isn't any
Typically, don't meet in the
business.
summer.
No, they don't meet
No,
if
I mean,
there
it
isn't
hasn't happened
development.
forever,
If
and
there isn't
so-
any development, there isn't any planning business to attend to.
Coming up, the next meeting is going to be held.
It will be, okay. Which is, the one that's canceled is June 14th, so it's
They
the end
usually
of
meet
June?
on
or
the
something?
second Monday of every month. Well, when they have a meeting, second Monday.
Katie, should he go through you to, sorry.
Or the June, that one is going to affect the...
I can get that. Because we have a
Okay, 'cause
TSP
the one that's
update at one of
canceled-
their planning commission meetings
Okay, because
coming
I
up.
mean, we were going to present at the beginning of the meeting and ask for a work session, so, but we had no opportunity to do that.
So
Okay.
Katie, he goes through
But
you for that.
On a positive note, no, actually, I want to thank Public Works and especially John Lewis for working with the Barkley Hills neighborhood on our traffic issues at Barkley Hills and Malala and Mountain View and Hilda. And so basically, they did they've worked with us over many months, and we were not too happy with the results, and so we discussed it some more with them. And because of this current project that's actually going to pave our road there, John has now said that they are going to incorporate an actual turn lane, kind of not really a real one, but extend it a little bit, add it into their new paving of our road there. And so it does help. The neighborhood associations and the interaction does help. And we have a lot more to do. Nancy's hoping that we're going to get some kind of a flashing crosswalk there. One of the issues that we all know about is that a lot of accidents don't make it into any kind of reports because they're just fender benders and people just hand each other a couple dollars or whatever, and it's done on the street. But we were having accident after accident right there at that crosswalk, right by the Chevron at the top of the hill by Grocery Outlet. And we're seeing them all the time still. And so our neighborhood is now like emailing each other. I just saw this happen. Our secretary of our neighborhood actually was in an accident. And so these things are now creating a little bit more of a change in the way that the city perceives the intersection, the way that we see it as residents. But we also have to educate our residents, and we're trying to work on that too, because there's a lot of people who just don't realize they can go around Hilda, and it's just bad city, it's too bad that the city was grown this way, all the streets around there and everything. But so I want to thank OCPW for helping us out, and slowly we'll get this fixed. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Walter.
Is that it, Walter?
It is, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and we're looking for a vice chair and a chair in our neighborhood over and over again. So if anybody's out there listening, please come to our meetings and please help us out. Thank you.
Katie, anything?
Yeah, I do have something. There was a line of questions that were brought to the city manager's office, and I know that at the last CIC meeting, a couple of these questions had kind of come up at the end. They weren't really addressed, and I just wanted to get back with you folks with some answers to those questions. So I'm passing around here a list of the questions with the answers. One being these are direct questions from a direct neighborhood or association. So just know that some of these may or may not apply to your line of questioning that you originally had. But one is the liability or the insurance coverage, and that is covered here. No insurance is provided to to the officers or the director of a specific neighborhood. There is coverage at city events. So if you were to say be selling snow cones at the Concerts in the Park is a city event, and that is covered under the city's liability insurance and all that it encompasses. But if you have your own separate snow cone machine with your own separate signs, and there is a problem with your sign or your equipment that fails or something, that is not covered by the city insurance. Also, if a neighborhood association was having a association-wide garage sale, there's no liability coverage there. And there's a couple other questions on here that other people might be interested in having the answers to, so I just wanted to bring that to you. If you have any other questions above these, please email them to me, and I will get you the information, and I can send it out as a CIC email group like I do with the agendas and minutes as well.
So, Katie, just to clarify here, with most nonprofits and people like, let's say, a city commissioner, any other person, these are elected by citizens, these positions as chairs, vice chairs. If somebody wanted to sue a neighborhood association, then they have no coverage. There is no director, no coverage
Not provided
to protect
by
them.
the city for the neighborhood associations.
So
The CIC
It's never
group
happened, but I'm just
is
wondering.
a little different, but the actual separate neighborhood associations, they are a separate entity per se.
So if they're having a meeting, let's say at a Little Red Community Building or at somebody's home, they're responsible for anything that happens in that property. Wow. Okay. So who'd want to be a chair of any neighborhood if you're not protected? Wow. It's not come up, but you never know in this litigious society.
Now, that's the way, excuse me, that's the way it is now. Does that mean it couldn't change? That something couldn't be enacted by the city to provide the neighborhood association officers with some sort of coverage?
Usually there's a blanket kind of a policy for
Yeah,
events.
I have an umbrella policy
Yeah.
that covers me for all that and for my business insurance.
But not when you're doing city business, if you're conducting a
does.
meeting?
Yes, it does.
Really? How do we sign up for
I
your
think it might
insurance?
be well worth looking into.
If you want to put that in an email to me, I would prefer having the questions
Okay.
in writing. That way I can know exactly what your question is and exactly how
Absolutely.
to answer it. And then I can send it out, like I said, the answer to all the CIC group or anybody else who is wanting that, if everybody wants that answer to that question.
Never have a meeting in your own home. Okay. Thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Katie, excuse me, this is the first time I've seen this. I'm sorry that there isn't a date on this. I'm assuming this is current as of today.
Yes.
And
I
because
can-
some of the comments are in here are in the first person, it would be nice to know whose opinions these are. Was this written by the city
Oh, I'm
attorney?
sorry.
Was this the city manager?
This is written by me. So if the very last question, I wasn't really sure what the question was, and that will go, that answer and that question will go directly back to the person who presented these questions.
And I think
To
that
get
last
more
one referred back to the other one. Are there any protections for neighborhood associations?
Liability, yeah.
Due to the formation, the city is the one who created the neighborhood associations. Therefore, that question was, are they protected because they're under the umbrella of the city? I think that was, and it goes back to that one up above, officers and directors.
Well, the very first sentence of the very first answer is not exactly accurate. It says the city formally recognizes the neighborhood associations, but point of fact, the neighborhood associations were created by the city.
Through
The mayor's nodding.
Mary Palmer helped create it.
Exactly so, but Mary Palmer was hired by the city
Yeah.
to create those neighborhood associations. So it's more than just we're recognized by the city, we were created by the city. We are agents of the city.
I don't want to answer any information
Right,
that's
right.
not correct, so I don't want to just give
Yeah,
you an answer
actually-
off the top of my chest right now. But I
Yeah.
know the way I understand, I've only been here for a short period of time. The way I understand the whole process of the neighborhood associations, they were created way back when. I don't know who actually
90s.
created them because I wasn't here.
Yeah.
And then they, as far as I know, they disband or they were no longer. And
No,
then
not all of them. They were, some of
Okay.
us continue to go.
okay.
And
point
so,
is-
And then I think that the city helped reactivate them. I don't know that they.
the ones that weren't activated, yes, they've been working on that, because Chris has helped that. So has Bill Kabizman, the attorney, Ed Sullivan, or anybody been asked the real legal questions?
No, we have not directed any questions to our city attorney.
$600.
Is this something that, do you think the CIC should, I know I've been asked, I think I got something from Betty recently. Should we, the CIC, approach the city commission at some point with what we've been doing recently and ask for a decision by the attorney, or is this something you think you should do behind the scenes here as a part of the liaison to the CIC?
Well, you can definitely put your questions into writing to me. I can bring them to the city manager, and you can also voice your opinion if you feel that it needs to go to the
city attorney, but ultimately I think it's the city manager and the city commission's
Right.
decision if that goes to the city attorney.
Bingo.
So that would eventually have to be brought to the city manager and then brought to the city commission if they're choosing the line of that how it goes.
And there hasn't been any issues at this point, and there is none pending. I think it's just people want to know going forward. Because, as I said, all nonprofits and anybody involved in boards and positions where they've been elected by citizens usually have some protections for.
I believe that's why these were brought forth. I don't believe that there's any current issues
Right.
that, at least I don't know of any current issues. I think these were just a line of questions that were brought to the city manager's office. And I know that one of them, being the insurance portion, had been brought up at the end of the last meeting. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody had that information, not just the person who was posing these questions.
Thank you.
So that they didn't keep getting asked and asked.
Well, because these answers are from David Frazier. Is he an attorney? Is he an attorney?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Okay.
He has seen these answers and reviewed them, yes.
In essence, the neighborhood associations were established as a result of LCDC's Title I requiring citizen input into land use decisions. And that was the basis on which the neighborhood associations, in the view of the city at the time, felt that was the best way to address the requirements of Title I.
That's the way I understand.
We really are linked very closely with the city. They're trying to cut down on direct citizen input and channel it through the neighborhoods.
Right. Right. But I think our direct link is the CIC group. And then it goes out to the neighborhood groups. That's the way I understood it.
That's not the way it was initially established.
That would be a bottom-up.
This is,
Sharing things, but that wasn't,
No.
that structure of the CIC was intended to be a filtering device.
Doug, may I ask if you think it's appropriate for us to just do all this directly through Katie direct, or do you think maybe some of the representatives from the CIC should come at some point to the city commission?
I think you can bring it up and we can actually have it. If it's an issue that we all need some understanding, we could make it as part of a study session agenda.
So move it more towards a study,
So-
and that goes to the city manager to add it to that. Okay.
When I came on the commission, it was right after Mary.
Excuse me, Mayor, your comments aren't going to be on the recording.
My understanding is directly aligned with Tom's.
Okay.
We're not going to hear your comments on the recording, Doug.
Sorry, Doug. We're going to give you a roving mic.
Yeah.
You can put in for overtime.
I'll give you a lav mic.
I think Tom O'Brien's statement is exactly what happened. I think most, well, I don't know if they all did, but most cities, many cities decided the formation of neighborhood associations was the way to go. I think the Citizen Involvement Committee was formed as a basis for sharing ideas, thoughts, concerns among the neighborhood associations. I don't think it was ever intended to be a filtering device.
Very good. I'm not sure what that means, but
It was an afterthought.
does that still mean that the neighborhood associations
Yeah,
chairs are protected?
it really,
That's something for a work
But
session.
isn't-
That's something
Okay,
for a work
all right.
session.
it's all a moot point, really. I mean, the lawyers really have to decide, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks today or
Yeah,
what 20
exactly.
years
Yeah.
ago. It
Yeah.
depends on what.
So
And
we
there
let's
just
do
move
it
have
for the
been
work
court
study, then
rulings that have gone
to.
both ways
Let's move on.
within the
Yeah.
state.
Let's move on. You're right. Okay. Nancy, welcome.
Yeah.
What do you have to tell us?
Okay, well, I have some news that's very difficult for me to deliver, but I have made a decision to take a job in the city of Wilsonville. I was, this was a kind of surprise, and I was not out looking for another job, but the city manager there, he contacted me to see if I would apply for the position. And after months of really, really difficult thinking, I thought it might not be a bad idea. And in fact, I think it's a great idea. And I have been here for 16 years, and it's a big chunk out of my career. And I think about it, and I just feel how amazingly fortunate I was to land this job and to become part of the community and to be part of so many exciting things that have happened in this town in the last 16 years. And I'm so happy that we were able to get so much accomplished together. My last days will be in the first week in July. Not exactly sure which day yet. It depends on how long it will take me to clean out my office. But I just wanted you to know that I look at this as probably the last little adventure that I will have in my career, and it's probably good timing given my age and all that stuff. And I'm very happy that the Public Works Department is in really good shape, and we have a fabulous staff that will continue to serve this community. And I just want to say that the most difficult part about the decision really was the thought about having to separate from all of the people in this community that I feel like have had I've had the opportunity to just have some fantastic relationships and really build friendships with many of you. So that's my news, and thank you for letting me be part of Oregon City, and for supporting us in all the fun things we've gotten to do together.
Will you be at the next meeting?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't know, just was checking.
So this is my last CIC meeting, and I've really enjoyed coming to these meetings. I think it was a good move to have someone from Public Works be part of this, so we can have a better, more frequent, regular
And that's what I
dialogue.
wanted to add. You've added so much being here. We appreciate. I think we've gotten to know you better, and vice versa. We so appreciate you having participated in these meetings, and we hope you're the person who follows you will follow in the same vein. So thank you so much for all you've done.
Today, I'm coming over here, and I come out of the high school, and I look at the bike paths and Beaver Creek and the lights that used to go nowhere, and all the times I would ask Nancy, why did this happen? What is going to happen? Well, today I understand. I mean, it all came together. And I just want to know that our relationship has grown so very much, and I totally respect you, and I'm really going to personally, and my family are going to miss you, and we support you.
Thanks so much.
Nancy, I think as a body, I think this council is so much better educated and better informed because of you and helping us through the processes.
Thank you very much.
So does that put you up for that award again in a second city?
The timing is never quite right on anything.
Okay, William.
16 years.
What do you get?
Job hopper.
Great memories.
Job hopper. William Gifford for Hillendale. There's a joint land use issue between Hillendale and Berkeley Hills neighborhood associations. That there's a piece of county property that is pretty much on the border between those, and they are asking for our blessing for some of their activities. It's not often that we have the county coming to neighborhood associations making presentations, so I think we should extend the county all the grace and conciliation that they have shown us. So.
It's going to be an open house, right?
That's a euphemism for free for all. Yeah. So, and I'm not sure the date on that yet, but we'll keep you posted on that. Anything else in Hillendale? No, that's all.
Larry?
Caulfield is doing well. We are having our next meeting in my driveway.
Are you sure?
We'd like anyone to come along.
Date?
And the date is the 26th, unless it's the 24th.
Whichever comes first.
I think it's the 26th. But it's just going to be a low-key meeting. It's kind of a little bring your own dessert. And the biggest problems we have in our neighborhood is we've been getting some duplicates on brownies and other things. So we're going to try to get that under control and make sure that we bring a variety of desserts.
Pretty critical issue.
And the other thing that as a neighborhood I want to mention is that the Oregon City Police Department and the high school have really turned it around as far as the student activities and the traffic, and the new Beaver Creek road system is wonderful. So we basically we're pretty new yet, but we're trying to make things better, and we feel that our goal is to serve the city, and we don't have steering committees, and because we don't seem to have the problems, but we'll get there. So thank you.
It's a learning process.
I actually have nothing except a question. Will I see Dr. John McLaughlin this weekend?
Not this weekend.
You're not marching?
I think it's the 28th.
This is the Parade Rose Festival weekend.
Oh, no.
You're not there this year?
No. That was part of the Mayor's Parade. There is no Mayor's Parade.
This year, okay. So sorry, I just wanted to see if I'd see you again. Okay.
I mean him.
Him. Sorry.
Tom O'Brien, Hazel Grove Wrestling Farms. I'm going to let Kathy report on the meeting that we had because I was unable to attend it. But however, I do want to thank Nancy Krashauer for all of the wonderful things that she has done on behalf of Oregon City and its citizens. Your 16 years, it's amazing what you've accomplished on behalf of our citizens. So I thank you for that. I did want to give just a little brief update. The South End Concept Plan, which is affecting Hazel Grove Wrestling Farms, South End neighborhoods, Tower Vista, and to some degree Kanema. It is moving. It's moving slowly. There were 4 entities that offered proposals to head that up. I believe the city has come to a decision on what direction they would want to go, and we'll be presenting that information to the City Commission on June 20th, is my understanding. So it's a little bit behind the schedule, but it's something that is going to affect traffic and the future of that whole community as much, if not more so, than what the Beaver Creek Concept Plan and the Park Place Concept Plans did. So we're looking forward to working with the people who are going to be heading that up to get citizen input and avoid some of the many problems that existed with those other 2 mentioned plans. So just a little update there. Keep posted. There is a separate part to the city's website that will have updates as we go along on the South End Concept Plan, so you can keep informed by addressing that.
Okay. Our meeting, Kathy Hogan, Hazel Grove Wrestling Farm. We had our meeting in May, and Maureen Cole, the librarian, came and talked to our group, and I believe our next meeting is going to be September 20th, but I'll remind you down the line. And Phyllis Stocking, Phil Hart, has already had 2 of their fundraisers completed. They're going to be in a concert in the park on the July 19th and also August 2nd for fundraising. And then we're going to have the Taste of Clackamas November 8th instead of December, so that we're not trying to rush and get 3,200 socks ready to get out before Christmas. And I also got a flyer. It's a newsletter on Clackamas County Historical Society. They have fundraisers for the Museum of the Oregon Territory, and I'm sure they have a website that I don't know at this time, but if you check and maybe call the museum. But that's Memorial Labor Day. Okay. Yeah, so that's already happened. But they have some Saturday the 16th, they're going to do a kickoff on a historic GEO historic tour kickoff. So they have a lot of things that they're doing for fundraising for the museum and stuff. So hopefully, here, let's see. I know there's got to be, that's an email, isn't it, though? Actually, if you want to get info, there's info at...
Google it.
Huh?
Google it.
Yeah, Google it, clackamashistory.org. So you could find out maybe some of the events that they're doing to raise money. I told Craig Danielson I would pitch it a lot. He is very kind enough to lend us his facilities, an empty building, because Phyllis Talking in August is having their garage sale the same time McLaughlin is, the neighborhood sale. So we're going to promote Craig and his history. Other than that, this is it.
Michael Berman, downtown Oregon City, Main Street. Things are looking up and down and left and right. And if you're driving down, you should too. The traffic has changed and it's wonderful. The merchants like it. People seem to like it. The railroad is two ways, like it used to be years ago, so keep an eye on that. And 7th Street is two ways. So the flow for, particularly on the south end of town, has greatly improved. Parking has improved. There's 21 parking spaces that were permit only previously from the tunnel to the elevator. And weekends you can park there now, and after 6 o'clock you can park there now as well. So it's getting much more pleasant on Main Street now. And the sidewalks look great. So there were some questions on some merchants, and I thought I'd bring it up. The maintenance of the sidewalks as far as debris, a lot of the merchants do their own sweeping. Some merchants don't, particularly where there are buildings for lease. Is that the property owners? We don't. I thought I might ask some people here that might know. Is that the property owners, the business owner, job to keep the sidewalks clean? They're beautiful, and they're not as well maintained in some blocks as they might be, and we weren't sure who to ask.
Well, the streets we sweep, the Public Works Department sweeps the streets, and the sidewalks are something that we don't clean for property owners. Our code puts the maintenance of a sidewalk in the hands of a property owner, and then the merchant or property owner, whatever, they would have to work it out. I really have seen, it just depends on property or the businesses usually. As I've traveled around and I go out and go running in the morning, and in these little communities, no matter where it is, there's usually the people out there sweeping their sidewalks in the morning in a downtown area. So I always have this hope that that's what we're going to look like one day.
It's not too bad. It's really sporadic. It's just a couple buildings that are not so far.
That's something that would be fun to work on as a group, I think, down there. Get the spirit going.
That's right. Thanks.
If it breaks, you have to wait for it.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Unless it's due to construction.
Kenema, Paul Edgar, Kenema. I wanted to just give you a little report. We had some problems with young people coming into the newly redone Kenema Children's Park, finding it, wow, it's nice. It's a nice place to party or cause troubles. In fact, at 11 o'clock at night, they're out there with their car lights out on the basketball court yelling and having a good time. So get a couple emails from the neighbors immediately saying, hey, this is getting a little out of control. So I contact as I'm on the Chiefs Council, and I've had good communications with the police, and so I contact the police. Wow. All of a sudden we realize, I just like to point out, what a resource, and they are responsible, and they care. And if we have problems, feel free. I tell you, I'm pleased to hear what they're talking about. They want to solve our problems, and I'm saying, wow, this is great. So if we have problems, don't forget that a little conversation with our police department can go a long way to making our city safer, better, and they care.
Thanks, Paul. Steve.
Steve Van Haverbeek, Park Place. Let's see, we had our first monthly cleanup on May 19th. There were 15 people that volunteered to help with that. We have another one that's scheduled for June 16th, meeting at 9 a.m. at Steve's Market. We're going to continue having volunteer activities throughout the summer. Right now, we don't have all of the activities planned. So if people are interested in having us assist, we have volunteers that are able to help. I'd like to thank Larry Loudon of Pioneer Pizza, who not only volunteered, but fed us lunch.
Oh,
so
sure.
Great.
We also had our May Park Place meeting on the 21st, where we had an election and retained all of our steering committee. Our next meeting is June 18th for a steering committee meeting. We won't have another general meeting until October, when we expect to have Maureen come and talk to us. John Lewis. Oh, the water. We discovered that the Holcomb Gateway has a sprinkler system installed as people were stubbing their toes on the sprinkler heads. And we've been trying to determine, well, where did they come from? Whose are they? Are they available? City has looked into it and has not found that they know anything about them.
They were put in by early settlers.
But they were very quick to tell us that and worked really hard.
So you don't know where to turn them on or anything?
There is a place where it looks like it could be turned on, but don't know that there was a backflow meter, don't know that it's legal to turn them on.
One of our concerns is there's no backflow device, and that's not a good. Not good.
Or legal.
Yeah.
It was a retired plumber that had nothing to do.
But I got to tell you, anything would be better than hauling buckets of water over to the plants that we. So,
if the weather keeps up the way it is, you don't need to do the buckets.
That's right. We're good this week.
It's Rose Festival time. It's going to rain.
Yeah.
Ingrid. I'm Ingra Rickenbach from the South End Neighborhood Association, and we met in May and had an election of officers, and we also had the tax assessor come and explain to us why the value goes down but the taxes go up. And so he had a lot of good information, and I learned some things that I hadn't thought about. And so if you need a speaker sometime, you might ask him to come. Right. He was good. And our next meeting is going to be
brave speaker.
A picnic for our neighborhood at Chapin Park. And so that will be in August. And then there won't be a formal meeting, but it'll be a chance to get together as neighbors and be able to discuss issues that we have.
Okay.
And you have a new chair.
We do. And I don't remember his name.
Bill McConnell?
I don't know. He was running for vice chair, and Norm Stewart was running for chair, and then Norm got sick and wasn't able. He was having dizzy spells, and so he will serve as past president, but he won't serve as president for this next year. So I need to look at the minutes and find out who our new chair is.
Bill somebody.
And we are looking for a vice chair, and we have a secretary and a treasurer.
Okay.
So.
All right. I think that ends roundtable. I know I don't see Katie here, but I know at the last meeting we had a discussion on the July meeting since it was near July 4th. I don't know I can't see your phone from here. Katie, do you remember the date of the next meeting? I think we decided to go forward with it, even though July 4th was a Wednesday, I think, and 2nd would be the Monday.
July 2nd will be.
Okay, so I think we decided to go ahead with July 2nd. Okay. All right. So that sounds like it's the next meeting. And
Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
excuse me, just got a text from home saying there's no video. She didn't see the video tonight. She hoped that I took good notes, and I didn't, hoping for the video. And she says that it never came through. Maybe when it's uploaded later, no live audio or pics for tonight. So
that means Nancy has to come back next meeting.
But thanks for coming up to the microphone. And if next month's minutes are sketchy, I've got an excuse.
And we're going to have to repeat that debate that was going on up here.
No!
No, I'm just kidding.
I have a question for Katie.
Do you have is that part of the meeting? Question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Katie, I just want to let you know that we appreciate your efforts and going through the growing pains with us, and I hope that we are communicating back and forth to your standards, because it sure seems to be working well on our side. The other thing I want you to know is that we're here for you if you need us, so thank you very much.
That wasn't a question, that was a comment.
Yes.
All right, well, that's
Compliment. Thank you very much. That ends the meeting. I'm going to use this finally. There we go.
12.
Now can I go home? I got to go.
Meeting
fast.
adjourned. Thank